Right, welcome to a very special episode of MGUY, where I'm joined by someone who needs no introduction. It's the man himself, the man from Mansfield, Lee the MacMaster.
Hello.
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you, good to be here.
So before we get going on the interview, I thought I'd just take Lee for a little spin in the MG Midget to see how he copes with getting in and out of that tiny little car. So let's go.
Right, so 1 foot in, I've got basically size 13 feet as well. Alright, so this is, now I've just got to get my leg in, get my leg over, pardon the pun. It's this bit where I've got to get my foot, because that foot, if I pull that toe back there like that, and then get in there like that, and then I get the door shut. Ouch, watch my leg. I think I'm in. See, that was easy.
All right then, here we are in the MG.
Yeah, that was a
Pretty tough getting in.
work of art. I'd call it a work of art. Like the car itself. It's a bit warm. Can we put the AC on?
There's no AC.
No AC.
No AC.
Okay. Got heating though, haven't you, for winter?
No
heating.
No
either.
heating. In fact, there's not even a windscreen washer either.
All right. Okay. Listen, it's nostalgic. It's what
It is very nostalgic. Let's go for a little spin.
Oh, listen to that. Oh,
It's just a little 4-cylinder.
purring though, purring.
Were you into classic cars? Did you ever have a classic car?
No, I think the most classic car I had was a 1982 Nissan Micra.
Oh.
I think that was about as classic as I got, really.
Get lots of smiles in this car. You know, lots of thumbs up and smiles in this car.
That's the thing. You see, you were not going to get your thumbs up if you're driving around in a Tesla.
No, you're not. You'll get the thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Hang on. Oh, hang on a minute. Watch the handle. Watch the door. There we go. Now I need to try and get here. I can do this. Oh, I did it.
How have you enjoyed Australia and Sydney since you've been here?
Absolute. I can't express how fantastic the place is. Sydney is amazing. It's a vibrant city. I've travelled a lot. Obviously, my viewers will know I lived in the States for 12 years. And seeing different places, Australia it'd be a place that I'd bring my family to and come and live. If I could actually, get them out of England. It just seems a lot more of a relaxed. Everybody seems happier. The weather seems better as well. Although you have your off days, I know.
Yes,
but
we do.
Yeah, the food's better. It's fantastic. I love it. It was never a place really that I really wanted or thought about visiting. I thought, because they give it the wrong impression when back in the UK. They give it this, it's full of spiders, it's full of, deadly animals, and there are, of course there are, spiders and stuff here and snakes, but out in the bush, if you go looking for them, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of image they give it. And also on the adverts that we get back in the UK, Australians with corks hanging from their hats, drinking Castlemaine 4X, and that's not a thing, apparently. They don't do that. So
yeah,
it's polar opposite to that. What a beautiful place. Love it.
It is a very special place. I mean, I've been here 20 plus years and I don't think I'd ever go back.
No,
it's a very special place.
It's definitely a special place.
You first came to my attention when you did the John O'Groats to Land's End trip with Jeff Buys Cars. So tell us a little bit about how that started and the reaction you've had to it.
Well, it went viral, really. It was in all the newspapers back in the UK, and then obviously it hit over here. I met Jeff through YouTube, obviously, and then I started watching him, and we got together, and he said, "Oh, ring me." So I rang him, and we was on the phone for like 3 hours just talking, and it was like I'd known him for years. and he's a lot younger than me, and he's got a lot of views on cars and where the world is going at the moment. Some things he's opened my eyes to as well, which we won't go into on this channel. If you're watching, Jeff. But I love the guy, and we hit it off, and he said, why don't we do some kind of challenge? He loves his Top Gear, you know, so and so do I. And we said, we'll do a challenge then. We'll do John O'Groats to Land's End, racing against an electric car. And we set it up, we did it, we had a great time. People said, oh, you know, it wasn't a race because you stopped off. It was not just a race, it was about two guys having some fun along the way. But the fun kind of, the fun sponge was the electric car, really, because a lot of it, people said, was orchestrated and acted out and put on, and I can assure you it wasn't. It looked
pretty realistic to me. It looked genuine. I don't have any doubts about that.
It was that part of it was not fun. At the start of it was great, and it was good camaraderie, but the charging point of it and the infrastructure point of it, don't get me wrong, the car's amazing. I've got the Porsche Taycan, but the infrastructure, it just shows how ludicrous, really, the trying to make a world full of electric cars really is, and that's what brought to my attention. But you've still got, and I didn't realize this, you've got an EV community that they're so protective of the electric car. It's beyond belief. And some of the abuse that I got back, liar, you put it on and there was a charger there that you should have used, and if I'd have used that charger and that was busy, they would have told me to use the other charger.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like there's some kind of agenda, I may be wrong, you know, to push us all into electric cars. And there's people who are, I believe, some of them are actually, there's one person in particular, can I mention her?
Yeah, go.
Called Morag, who's now been on my comments again.
I know Morag.
Yeah, she's in the comments from the video we did the other day with the car with the sound. And I believe that they've got to be paid to do these comments.
Yeah.
Because nobody can be that obsessed.
Well, they call them evangelicals or evangelists.
Evangelists, yeah.
Because they do have this kind of religious fervour to it. And they almost seem to want to punish heretics like us.
You know, Jeff buys cars, always says, and he nailed it. He said, look, I don't have anything against electric cars. If you want an electric car, and you've said electric cars are fine for running around town. If you want an electric car, go and buy an electric car. But don't push the rest of the world into saying by 2035, is it, that you cannot buy another, you know, internal combustion engine, a petrol car.
Absolutely.
And we've been down this route before in the UK. I'm having a bit of a rant now, but we've been down this route before in the UK where the government said, you have to, if you use a diesel, we'll give you tax, you know,
that's right.
We'll give you a better tax, etc., or whatever. It's better for the environment. And then years later, we're told that diesel isn't better for the environment. So at what point do you actually go, hang on a minute, the powers that be are telling us to use an EV, and you see on TV now, did you buy a diesel between the years whatever to whatever, and you could be reimbursed.
Is there class action now, is there? Or something
yeah, there
like
is,
that?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Gosh.
so...
I remember that. I remember them pushing the diesels because they were supposed to be better.
Yeah. So,
and now they've completely backflipped on it.
Yeah, so I believe somewhere down the line, you're going to get, did you buy an EV between the years of whatever and whatever, and then we can get you money back on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where I believe that we're going. We're being pushed down, and I've said this, I'm having a rant again. I personally believe, I don't know what your beliefs are, it's all about control.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, I think you could be right.
Yeah,
I think you could be right. Tell us just briefly about your arrival in Land's End, because I was personally, you know, very upset to see you. You were a broken man when you arrived in Land's End.
Well, I didn't get quite to Land's End. I was about 10 miles out of Land's End. Jeff was at the pub, and I got to the point before I got there, about 3-4 hours outside of there, and I just thought, I literally, it was the point where I was in tears in the car, and I just thought, I've had enough. This is now stressful. But then I thought, I've got to get there. Jeff's having pints. I got there. The roads were that narrow because electric cars are wide because of the batteries.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get down these narrow roads, watching my wheels, and he's filming me, and I was broken at the end of it. It was, and if a car does that to you, my mum used to say, cars and driving is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And it took the fun away.
Yeah. And liberating.
Yeah.
And liberating. Yeah. That's what I find, so bizarre about the EV stuff. We're supposed to just sacrifice that liberty for, having to wait for an hour for it to charge or something like that. It just seems ridiculous to me.
If you look at the amount of, if you do your maths, or math if you're in the States, if you do your maths and you look at the amount of electric cars that are on the road at the moment, if everybody drives an electric car, think of how many and how long it takes to charge an electric car. Think of how many chargers that you've got to have.
Yes, absolutely right. And I've done videos on my channel about it, precisely this, because I don't think people realise just how much electricity it takes to fast charge an electric car. I mean, it's astonishing. It's the amount of electricity, hundreds of houses worth of electricity to fast charge a single car.
I was at Gretna Green on the way down on the, from John O'Groats to Land's End, and it's on the video, and again somebody questioned me on it and said that, yeah, you did that for the camera. Well, there was a guy on it who said, can you unplug your car? Because there was 4 chargers, I think, maybe 6, I can't remember, but 2 of us had to unplug because there wasn't enough power from the grid to power all those chargers. And all this Morag said was, well, I think you'll find that if you'd have gone to 20 miles down the road, there was a load more chargers. But if I'd have gone there, there's always an answer to it. But the answer is electric cars are not the future. And owning one, I'm giving my honest opinion on it, because it seems to be there's certain channels out there, I won't mention them, who have been paid by the government to push the agenda of electric cars.
Definitely.
One of the channels one of the channels that it actually keeps trying to push electric cars. I won't mention the name, but there's a guy on it who was on Top Gear before it got good.
That narrows it down.
You might we'll leave that bit in. I'll take the rap for that. But it's just push this agenda for electric cars. In fact, I was on their channel.
Yeah, I think he said, yeah. Tell us about
that. There was sat at this desk and with an audience, and they're going, pushing the agenda about electric cars, and somebody brought it up, and I can't remember exactly what they said, but they basically dissed it, that I did it wrong, etc. It's always, you should plan your journey, you should have bought a Tesla. I mean, have you been in a Tesla?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
What was your thoughts of the Tesla?
Look, it's probably the best of the electric cars.
The software's great, but the build quality of it, it was plasticky. I think it had its downfalls as well, where why have you got your screen there at the left?
Doesn't make any sense.
Why would you have that? And their answer to that is, well, it drives itself. You don't need to do that. It doesn't go over the speed limit and blah, blah, blah. Or you can have a heads-up display. I'm just thinking, it's an iPad on wheels.
Yeah.
I think it will pass. I think it's an agenda to push electric cars onto us all, and basically stop people driving. Because if you look at the cars as well, I don't know whether your viewers have seen this, but I paid just over 120 grand for my Taycan, and that was just under 3 years ago. And I think the last value that I had on it was 30-odd thousand pounds.
Started with a 3.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Right.
30-odd thousand pounds.
That's terrible.
So now, because I have it on finance, if I hand the keys back to my car, I've got to give them something like 30-odd thousand pounds.
You've got negative equity in that car. Yeah.
Because the thing is, be honest and be real, they're disposable cars.
Yeah.
They're not cars that you're going to keep forever.
That's right.
You know, a classic car, there'll never be a classic car.
No.
Because to replace the battery pack on my car, and I did a video on this, £45,000.
Yep.
So if I damage the battery on my car now, it's a write-off.
Yep.
Because there's no point in replacing it.
Quick question, what made you buy that in the first place?
That's a good question. Well, I'm a bit of a techie, so I'm obviously into Apple stuff. That's why I'm called the MacMaster. And I like, you know, futuristic things and computers, and I'm a bit of a tech geek. And I thought, oh, you know, that's the modern thing. It's the latest thing to have. And I drove it. I took it for a test drive, and I actually filmed it on the channel. And it's a fantastic car to drive. And when you first get in it, it's a bit of a gimmick, because it's like something off the Jetsons with the sound and how it drives. And you think, wow, you know, you got that whirring noise. And if you think about it, it's just like a Bosch washing machine, just on quiet spin. But it was great to drive, and it's a Porsche, and you turn it on and there's all the screens in there. It's like, I grew up with Knight Rider, you know, and it was like sitting in kit.
Yep.
And I just fell for all that. And then the thing with it as well that nobody actually thinks about is it's daunting when you first have an electric car. It's quite scary, because you think, how do I charge this? Where do I charge it? How do I do it? And the garage didn't tell me. They didn't say, oh, you have to go here, you have to get cards. There's different apps for different charging providers, so you have to download that. So it was really daunting. And then I thought, I'll do without a charger at home. And then you think, no, I need a charger at home, because if you haven't got a charger at home, it's a nightmare. So that also brings the point of, if you live in a high-rise block of flats or whatever, how are you going to charge your car? That's not going to work.
Exactly.
If you live in a terraced house, what are you going to do? You can see lawsuits for cables running across the pavement or sidewalk.
That's right.
It's a nightmare. So I bought it because it was tech. That's how I got into it. It was like the latest tech, but then I figured out.
How long did it take you to kind of start to realise that this was maybe not a great idea?
I think once the gimmick part of it wore off, I would say probably about, when I started doing like long distance journeys, probably about 5 months, something like that.
Was there a day? Was there a day that you remember that?
It was when it started to get to, daft as it sounds, to winter, and your mileage drops like a rock. I mean, you lose like 70 or 80 miles. So I drive up to Leeds a lot and back to Nottingham, where my office is. And I was like, I'm going to have to charge when I get up there, because I was driving around a little bit and I couldn't get back. So I thought, oh, this is a bit of a nightmare. Then you sat waiting in Starbucks having a drink of coffee or whatever, so you're spending more money on coffee. Sat around waiting. And then I thought to myself, I'm wasting hours here of my time. And do you put a value on, you can't put a value on your time. So it's taken away, you know, minutes of your life or hours of your life.
Well, I think you can put a value on your time. I think it's important. If you're busy, you need to actually factor that in terms of what, you know, what's acceptable and what's not. But previously you were into petrol cars, weren't you?
100%. Yeah, I've had too many really. I've had 8 different Boxsters.
8?
8 different
Why
Boxsters.
8? Just because you wanted the latest and greatest, or?
I was obsessed. I was doing really well with my business at the time, because originally I'm a graphic designer. Before I ran around with a phone on a stick. So I got all these Boxsters. I started out with I've had loads of cars, too many to mention, but my first BMW was a 320 diesel. Then I went into a 330 CI Sport convertible, which was awesome.
Very nice.
And I went down to London to Park Lane, bought that. I was loving it. You know, it was great. Got the top down. You know, I must have looked a prat, because I was playing 50 Cent at the time with my elbow on the, you know, going through that phase. Then I went through to that wasn't good enough, so I went through to the M3. So I had the M3, then I had the M4 as well, convertible. Wow. I had Range Rovers, which I had for 24 hours and gave it back. And
oh, really?
I lost £2,000 overnight, yeah.
Why did you give it back?
I'm not into SUVs or 4x4s or whatever, you know. So I think.
But you bought a Range Rover. Lee.
Yeah,
How can you say you were not?
I bought a Range Rover because I thought, oh, that'd be cool. I'll be like a footballer or whatever. I was going through a funny phase, midlife crisis or whatever. And then I'm like, I feel more like a farmer. I don't feel as cool. I like to be low down in a sports car with it making noise. So then I swapped it for an M4, and then I had the M4 3 weeks, and I thought, oh, it's not the badge of a Porsche. So I went with my tail between my legs and said to Porsche, can you get me out of this car and get me back in a Porsche? So I had the Boxster, and I've had Boxsters since then. Then I had the Macan.
Okay.
Turbo S or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and I had that for 6 months, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I don't like SUVs, I don't.
You just remembered.
Just remembered, so that's when I went to the Taycan, and I love the look of the Taycan. I think it looks the nicest electric car out there. There's just one thing wrong with it. No, two things wrong with it, actually.
It's electric.
First of all, it's electric. And second of all, the biggest thing, it's not a 911.
Yeah.
Because any Porsche that you have, if it's not a 911, then why bother?
Yeah, yeah. I just put a video out last night, I think, which was about the depreciation of the Taycan, like how it had lost $100,000 in 4 years. And that's US dollars as well. And I made the comment that if you'd bought a 911, you'd probably be sitting on an investment.
Yeah, well,
or even if it's not an investment, you wouldn't have lost a huge amount in that time.
I had a Boxster S, which at the time I also had a BMW diesel, and I kept this Boxster S. It was silver, it was gorgeous, and it was in my mum's garage, and I kept it in there for 2 years. And I kept it immaculate. I used to bring it out, just wash it, take it for a quick spin and put it back again.
Yep.
And I looked and I thought, if I'd have kept that, it probably would have gone up in value.
That's true.
In mint condition. Where if I kept my Taycan, it's just going to be worthless, isn't it? Because the batteries are going to degrade over time. And we're always promised better batteries, but it never happens, does it?
It's always tomorrow. It's always in
tomorrow.
5 years' time.
Yeah. Oh, they're working on new batteries, And the reality is, we know what batteries are like. You take your remote control in your TV, you have to bang it sometimes to get it to work. The batteries are rubbish. So people are buying these electric cars and we're being pushed into them with this agenda. And people are going to be a lot of money out. I've had a few people. It's not just me. There was one guy and he didn't want to be on camera, and he was devastated. He was like, please give me your advice. What can I do? I bought an e-tron, and he says, and I'm so much in negative equity. I've had it a few months. I want to go back to petrol. What do you advise? And I'm like, well, I can't advise you to do. I'm not an advisor. If you can afford to change it, change it. If you can't, you have to just hold on to it.
Yeah.
And he was devastated.
Yeah, I mean, I see that we might get to this, what they call the Havana effect. Have you heard of that? Where if you go to Havana in Cuba, they've got all these old cars that they just keep maintaining, and they're all pretty broken down and everything. But people are not going to want to buy EVs, so therefore they're just going to hang on to their petrol cars and just keep them on the road, not buy new cars.
Yeah, it's absolute madness. I can't stress. Your viewers probably already know that electric cars are not the answer, but the whole world at the moment is on this, being pushed this agenda of you've got to be electric cars, they're the future. They're not the future, they're not the answer. I believe, somebody said to me, and I think it's a perfect quote, is they're an answer to a problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's all about being pushed into people. The answer, what they want is, they don't want anybody to drive anywhere.
Yeah.
I personally think. I think they want to just keep people in a certain area and do that, and that's it. They want to control it, because if you look, you've got bus lanes coming, you've got bike lanes that nobody uses, by the way. In fact, when I was in Perth, I almost got knocked over by a bike, and I'm thinking, there's a bike lane there and you're on the pavement. It's
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It is nuts. It is nuts. So what are you gonna get? What are you gonna buy next? What's your next car?
Well, at the moment, I've got to keep and hold on to it because I am renovating my house at the moment. So, and I've come to the conclusion that it's just better just to just hold on to it, to be honest, for the time being. Because otherwise, I haven't got 30 grand to give somebody to take it back.
But you won't be going for another electric car, I don't suspect.
I won't. I did think at one point, I thought, oh yeah, it's taking the technology part away from me. But then I was thinking, no, enough's enough.
Yeah.
If I got another car, or when I get another car, because we'll have to eventually, especially when the batteries run out on this one, I would probably go for, if I've got the funds, it will be a 911, because it's the ultimate car, really. I think the ultimate sports car for me. And it's funny because I watch a guy called Marcus Brownlee, who's a YouTuber, and he had a Tesla, and he was all about tech, and he's gone out now and bought a 911. And I thought, and he was one of the reasons why actually I went to electric cars, because I watched him. I thought, oh, he's got an electric car, he's a tech guy, yeah, I'll go for it. Now he's got red and he's got a 911.
Well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you influenced me to get an electric car. So a 911, there you go, you've heard it first. So eventually, I think that's my goal, get a 911.
So you've probably seen Lee's video where we go and drive this Hyundai Ioniq 5N with John Cadogan, auto expert. What was your view on that? Now you've had a few days to kind of process it and think about it. What's your view now?
You know, I'm glad you asked me about that, because you get taken up in the moment of it, and I'm not going to take away from the guy who was the tech guy, wasn't he? He was part of the actual team that did the text on it and stuff, the tech side of it. And he was very, what's the word? He was passionate about it, which is good, because if you're not passionate about your job, then don't do it. However, I'll use that rather than but. At the time, I got taken away with it. I'm thinking, oh yeah, because they did mapping to actually make it feel like it had gears, didn't they?
That's right.
Torque mapping or something it was, and the sound of it, the engine sound, I thought, oh wow, this sounds really good, you know, and they're onto something here. But when you take yourself away from it, it's quite comical, really. And I didn't see the car before, and they're going, oh yeah, it's a sports car, it's a supercar kind of thing. I never thought the car looked that good, to be honest. I thought it looked like it was put together with Lego bricks. I mean, Ioniq, I always call it the Hyundai Chronic, but in my opinion, Hyundai.
Oh, you never get any invites from Hyundai now.
It looked terrible. And the more and more I think about it, as I think, why would you want to do that? I use this analogy, and you can beep this out if you want. I said it on mine. It's like Keira Knightley, because she's obviously very attractive. It's like having a night of passion with Keira Knightley, making lots of noise, but really, you know, she's thinking about knitting, or she's down there knitting and, you know, a jumper or whatever. It's pointless.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, you do get swept up in the moment of having the test drive, and all the guys there, they live and breathe this car, and so they're just so proud of it, and you do get a bit swept up in it, and I personally think that it just reveals that electric cars are lacking that engagement of an internal combustion engine car, so they have to add that back into electric cars to make them engaging.
Yeah. And
it's still an electric car. It's all fake. And that's why it feels so unnecessary. So I mean, the implementation, the execution was very good. The sound was good. You know, the gear changes were kind of like you were driving. It would bump off a red line that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like it would hit a rev limiter.
Yeah.
Which doesn't exist. It's bizarre.
What I found interesting was that when the gentleman was speaking to us was, they were looking at the Porsche Taycan before as well and how that handled, etc.
That's right. Yes.
And I just thought to myself, as much as they've gone into it and made a car like that, and they're calling it a supercar, you can't put that against a Porsche Taycan, because that is a sports car, an electric sports car. But the sound, at the end of the day, if you want to save the environment, and that's what people tend to have an electric car for, and they're not that environmentally friendly if you think about it, then Jeff buys cars always says this: go out and buy a diesel car or a petrol car and keep it till it runs, till the wheels fall off.
Yep.
And then that's more environmentally friendly. They're not environmentally friendly. They're fast, they're soulless, passionless, and they're a waste of time, because you must have hours to spend.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to bang people in the head, just go, listen, just don't buy one. And I have put a lot of people off of buying an electric car, and I'm glad, because I've saved them money and I've saved them the hassle.
Yeah.
And it's complete madness.
I think we're doing a service to people by exposing these issues, because I think a lot of people, don't understand the drawbacks of electric cars when they go in to buy one. And if you don't have off-street parking and you don't have that ability to charge overnight or whatever, then you're going to really struggle with an electric car. You're going to really struggle.
It's funny, because you go to a motor dealer and they will try and sell you an electric car over a petrol car, because they've got to hit a quota. They've been told to hit that quota.
Yeah.
And again, it's this agenda to push them. And I do feel sorry in many ways for the motor manufacturers, because they're being told, you can't make any more petrol cars. You can't sell them.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
So they're being backed into a corner that they don't really want to go down.
No.
I mean, you look at Porsche, they build the 911, it's iconic, it's a masterpiece. The engine it's a marvel of engineering, really. But what differentiates a Porsche Taycan to a Tesla other than how it looks?
Yeah.
Because it's a motor with 4 wheels and a battery attached to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing amazing about it.
No, that's one of the things that we've talked about this before, but when I see brands like Alfa and Maserati vowing to go all electric, I think, well, what's going to differentiate a Maserati from a Tesla anymore? Because you buy, I'm going to say it again, Enzo said, buy the engine, the car comes free. It's all about the engine. And so when there's not that differentiating factor, where will these brands go?
I look at it's funny, because we were talking about watches before. I have an Apple Watch, right? But I've also got a Tag Heuer, and it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's how they make it, etc. And that watch will be, if I keep it now, I'll be able to pass that down to my children and grandchildren, and it goes on. But this will be in a landfill somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with your mobile phone. Look at your mobile phone. Your mobile phone that you had 5-6 years ago, you've probably not got it anymore. It's in a landfill. And that's exactly the same as these cars. They're not going to be anywhere. They'll be in a landfill. So first of all, they're not environmentally friendly, because you're having to keep making them and renewing them.
Yeah.
Well, just buy a really nice car. If I bought a 911 tomorrow, I could keep that for the rest of my life if I had it looked after.
And you could pass it on to your kids.
And I could pass it on to my kids.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It'd still be going.
And it would go up in value.
Yeah.
It's complete madness. And when I think what people need to do is wake up. And you're not going to wake everybody up, because some people are so blinkered into it's the greater good, and they just follow and listen to what the powers that be say. And there's nothing that you're going to do to deter them from buying an electric car. But if you can save, I look at it like this: if I can save 1 out of 10 people buying an electric car, then I've done my bit. Because
absolutely,
I've had one, I've been there, I'm still there, and I'm in the mess of it all. And I shall push to keep saying don't buy electric cars. Brilliant. Until I believe that there'll come a point where I'll be stopped, I'll be silenced, because
yeah, that may happen. I really hope it doesn't, but let's see.
I've already been told it would be in my best interests to make videos about my food and travel rather than dissing electric cars.
By whom? You can't say.
I can't say, but it's somebody who I used to know very well, and they work in the motor industry.
Okay.
And the motor industry are aware of my videos, you know,
yes.
plating electric
Well,
cars.
let's hope that doesn't happen, because I really love your content and the way you do it. Tell us what you've got coming up, because you've got some things coming up, haven't you?
Yep, I've got some things coming up. So, and it is to do, again, I must be a glutton for punishment here, because I'm going to take my Porsche Taycan and I'm going to drive it, because I live in the UK. So I'm going to drive it from Nottingham in the UK, and I'm going to drive it all the way down to the south of Spain to Benidorm, and I'm going to see how that fares using the European charging network, etc. And along the way I'll be doing my trip. I'll make it fun. There is somebody who got in touch with me called Benidorm or Bust, and they're a car group that do it for fun, and they dress the cars up, etc. And he said, oh, do you want to come along with us? We do this. And I thought to myself, that might be fun. I said, but I won't be able to keep up with you, because I'll obviously be charging, but it'll make it more fun than doing it myself. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to drive to Benidorm in my electric car. And then in summer, I'm going to go over to the United States, because I love the USA. That's where I had my house there. And I'm going to take an electric car, which will be a Tesla, because quite simply because the network. Because
of the charging infrastructure.
Yeah, it would be. I could do it in another one, but it would. I wouldn't put myself through that.
No.
So I'm going to drive it from east coast to west coast.
Brilliant.
Along the USA, hoping actually that, I don't know whether Jeff can do it or not. Jeff buys cars. He has suggested it. If he can get a pass out from his wife, and he wanted to get the equivalent petrol car to what it cost me to hire an electric car. And do the same trip.
Yes.
But I don't. If he can do that, Jeff, if you're watching, and if Jeff's wife's watching, please let him have a few weeks off to come and.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Probably only needs a week for himself, but if he's waiting for me, it might be about 4 weeks.
And well, you might be coming back to Australia, mightn't you?
I am going to come back to Australia, and I want to do this, and I'm going to put the gauntlet down here and see whether you'll do it with me, right? And that is to drive the Nullarbor from Sydney to Perth.
Wow.
I do it in an electric car, right?
Yeah.
I'm challenging you on camera here, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to do it in a petrol car.
That would be amazing.
So we go from Sydney to Perth.
Sydney to Perth.
Yeah.
That would be heaps of fun, wouldn't it?
And there are, I've checked, charging points. Now, get this. There are charging points along the Nullarbor that are powered by a diesel generator.
Oh. Well, at least they'd be working.
It depends whether they filled them up with diesel, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly.
So that's my challenge to you.
Oh, well, challenge accepted. That would be fantastic.
All right, you've seen it here. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be enormous fun.
The only thing is, you're going to have to drive back. I'm going to leave the Tesla in Perth.
Oh, no. Well, I think I'd probably get it shipped back.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive all the way back again. I'll get it shipped back and catch a flight.
That's probably the best way to do it. Put it on a container or something.
Oh, Lee, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you here in Sydney.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
I've thoroughly enjoyed the things we've done together. I loved your videos. If you're not subscribed already to this guy, I'm sure most of you are, so this is all unnecessary, but I'll leave a link in the description to Lee's channel, the MacMaster. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Safe travels home.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.